Welcome back to the Empowered Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Bennett, and today's guest is someone who literally radiates joy, the kind that lights up a room and wakes up your soul. Denise Metzger is a nationally known speaker, former radio host, and the founder of Surprise Invite, a platform built around one simple but powerful idea. Life is a surprise party created to enjoy, not endure. In this conversation, Denise and I talk about unexpected joy, divine timing, motherhood, and what happens when you say yes to life's curveballs. Her stories are real, moving, and guaranteed to make you smile. So, if you're ready to unwrap some inspiration, this episode is the invitation you've been waiting for. Let's jump in. Good morning, Denise. How are you today?
I'm marvelous on Monday.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Right before we started, you have a coined a phrase. Maybe it's not copyrighted quite yet, but Marvelous Monday. We're going to come back to that. But I want to jump right into kind of the heart of what it is that you do about surprise invites and this kind of stuff. So, what is the most unexpected or delightful surprise that anyone has ever shared to you, whether that's after a speech or one of the parties that you've thrown? What is one of the most unexpected?
Well, the first thing that came up to me wasn't a share from one person as much as it was an experience that totally caught me off guard and has become a metaphor that I live.
Okay.
So I had just had my fifth child and thought I was going to a mandatory meeting for new committee chairs. I was in a women's club, a junior women's club in Elkins, West Virginia.
Okay.
And I had just had a baby. I did not feel like going to this mandatory meeting. I knew that they would understand if I said I wasn't coming, but I wanted them to know they had chosen the right person. And I showed up and it was a surprise party for me.
Aw, that's awesome.
So I remember seeing all the cars in the driveway or lining the street and thinking, wow, I didn't know we had this many committees. Good thing I came. And when I opened the door, they all surprised. I was so overcome with emotion for this surprise party that they had so thoughtfully and playfully arranged for me.
That's awesome. Very cool. Well, I think everybody needs friends like that. That's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, Denise, you and I have not known each other very long, but the little bit that we have talked, I think we hit it off really, really well. And you have just an amazing energy, which I'm sure people will feel just from the get-go. And you just have a really, really cool mission. So I just had to get you on the podcast. So I appreciate you giving us a few minutes of your time, and I'm excited to learn more about you and dive into this. So I appreciate your time today.
Oh, I appreciate the invitation, Andy. This is one of my favorite things to get to do. So
right.
I appreciate you also.
You bet. So let's back up a little bit. Tell us a little bit about where you grew up and kind of what's your journey. What led you to the point where you and I are talking today? I know that that's a big question, so you can hit whatever highlights you think are necessary for the audience.
I think for the most part, until I got married, I grew up in Corbin, Kentucky. I went to school at Morehead State. I had a tennis scholarship. Was really focused and thought my life mission was not to play tennis professionally, but to get to college through tennis. And then thought I would be working in a high rise in some advertising agency somewhere. I majored in art. So I've always been creative and artistic. My emphasis was in commercial art and graphic design, which back in the 80s, people were like, what are you going to do with that? It was before computers, before graphic design and technology really took off. We thought we were ahead of the curve because we all had our own airbrush stations.
Look at you.
That's how long ago that was. Then married my high school sweetheart right out of college. We moved 11 times in 13 years, had 5 babies the first 6.5 years. So that wasn't, I started to say everything was pretty ordinary until about 2005, but that's not true as I think 11 moves in 13 years and 5 babies in 6.5. So I was a stay-at-home mom. That was like the first major surprise is that I was supporting him in his career and staying at home and raising kiddos.
Gotcha.
But life had some surprises for me. That's it's all about surprises, and the surprises started coming in some pretty painful presents, and I've learned to navigate and open those to find the gift, even if it's challenging or difficult, maybe to see what it is.
Right. And I want to pace ourselves a little bit to get into that because I want to have kind of an arc to this whole conversation because there's going to be so many fun things that we can kind of dive into. You had said something before we started about was it motivational? Is that right? Motivational Monday?
Marvelous Monday.
Marvelous. I knew that. I knew motivational wasn't the right one. Marvelous Monday. So tell me,
It's motivational,
it's all the
magnificent. But
things.
at the time, the word that I associated with with Monday was marvelous. I had a radio show in 2012.
Okay. Okay.
Again, with the perspective and the uniqueness of how my positivity has come about, I
Wow.
actually went into the radio station to pitch them on a PSA that I had
Okay.
created so that people would stop complaining about the traffic in the bridge here locally. I live near
Okay.
Louisville. I went in
Okay.
there to pitch them on a PSA, and I left there, them having pitched me on an hour daily talk show.
Oh my goodness. That's
And
hilarious.
so, yeah, I got out in the car and I was like, well, that was a surprise. See, and I never really thought about having a radio show. I thought it sounded fun. I'm a prayerful, spiritual person and asked
Hmm.
for discernment. And I opened up my Facebook inbox, and two people while I was in there had messaged me, not knowing what I was doing, where I was,
Hmm.
and told me they had just heard a commercial that I had done and wanted to know if I'd ever considered doing radio.
Really? Wow.
So my discernment came right out of the gate within,
Right.
immediately upon the offer to do the radio show. And
Hmm.
so in looking for guests and the themes and maintaining my personality in the midst, it was called this, the channel was called News Talk Radio. And I don't pay attention to the news. I live the life that I do by not being obsessed or concerned with, not concerned, I am concerned, and I'm also focused on what I can control and what I can change, and
Yes.
maintaining my energy and my way of life where I can do something versus being upset or worried about things that
Yes.
are places that I can't. So,
Right.
so I'm big on the power of words and the
Hmm.
positivity that they
Okay.
invoke. The words that you speak and think matter, and they lead to the thoughts that you have and the experience that you create. And I don't remember what it was that ignited that. It's kind of interesting to me that we associate Mondays, like manic, the manic
Mm.
Monday, and
Hmm.
complain about Monday, and it is a
Right.
Monday, and how, we are creating that, we're putting it out there, this
Mm.
energy that we're not welcoming or receiving or open
Right.
to what Monday has.
Right.
So I was like, we're going to replace manic with marvelous,
There
and
you
that's
go.
really all I did. Was like, we just had a weekend of rest, recreation, renewal, and then the first day of the week we let it kick our what and call it
Hmm.
manic. Like, let's take the power back and set an intention that we're going to show manic to the door,
Hmm.
and we're going to invite marvelous in. And really simply by setting the intention, like, I blew my mind at the end of the day how
Mm.
my Monday unfolded, simply by me
Really?
saying no manic, today's marvelous, and promoting
Hmm.
Marvelous Monday and saving smart, like, so much so I was like, well, why only do it on Monday?
There you go. Exactly.
So Tuesdays are terrific and
Mm.
Wednesdays are wonderful with a little bit of wacky, and Thursdays are thankful. Like, I think once you show up and once you
Mm.
let the universe know what it is that you want to experience, then there's a
Right.
lot of evidence and things that come
Yeah.
back to support that. So, yes, that's why Monday is immediate. You'll hear me each week, regards to, Monday is marvelous.
I love it. I
And
love
then
it.
see how it surprises me and that it shows up that
Hmm.
way.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And the last part there, you said of just let the universe know, right? Like, hey, this is not how we
Yeah.
operate anymore. I love it.
Yeah. I think when you set the intention and say, whether you write it, speak it out loud,
Hmm.
you can think it.
Right,
You'll start paying attention and understanding what it is that you
right,
co-create and the power that you
right.
have. I do a lot of reading, and I think it was John Randolph Price's book that, yeah, I think it's called Super Beings. You'll
Okay.
hear people say they're only human, or you're only human, or I'm only human, and I've found that's not true either. We have
Mm.
more than that human capacity within us.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's all about activating your consciousness and how you speak and show up.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So the part of the I guess introduction that you and I had was around your company, and I would love I grabbed your little logo here of surprise invite. So tell us a little bit about the genesis of that. What spurred you to create that, and then what is your mission with surprise invite?
Okay, sure. Can I talk about that logo really quick?
Yeah, throw it, please.
Because of learning about the power of positivity and wanting to meet people where they are, and being an art major and this being something that I enjoy and have fun with.
Hmm.
I created the logo so that Christians may see a cross and the fish as the
Mm.
sign of Jesus, and then
Okay.
secular may see. I should have asked you what you saw before I went
Nah,
into
too
it.
late now.
Yeah, it's too late now. And then some see the positive sign and the eye, which is
Hmm.
ultimately the eye even has a spiral, which in the pupil, there's a
Mm.
spiral, which is the universal symbol for gratitude.
Mm.
And if you turn, you can see a heart also in the eye.
Mm. Oh
Um,
yeah. Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
subtle, but if
Hmm.
you see through eyes of love and gratitude, you will live a positive life. That's all
Okay.
in that logo there.
I
So,
love it.
and then the colors, because life's a surprise party, and I'm promoting that we receive the invitation and
There
the
you go.
colorful party, vibe that's
I
happening
love it.
there.
Yeah, no,
So,
I appreciate the background. That's really, really cool. And symbolism and all that kind of stuff and everybody, if you do a good job in creating something like this, people are going to kind of see it through their own lenses, but the general feel is, positive and uplifting and, gratitude based. I love it. Really good.
yeah, yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for allowing me to share that.
Yeah.
So, in 2005, I was continuing my art journey. I was actually had gone into interiors, and I was doing a lot of faux finish painting and decorating, and was working out, very fit at the time, and usually went to the gym at 5 a.m. And my daughter was waiting for me in the living room, and she'd been up through the night and said she had leg pain and she was scared. And we went into my bathroom. She sat on the tub. Um, by 1 o'clock that afternoon, we had a leukemia diagnosis.
Wow.
No precursors, no
Yeah.
warning to the symptoms. And I remember sitting outside in the hospital processing. And I grew up in church. And I thought, well, this could be like Abraham being asked to sacrifice Isaac, which is a story in the Old Testament where he was, being tested about his love and his faith and to
Yeah.
God first and foremost. And so I thought this could be like Abraham being asked to sacrifice Isaac. And I thought, okay, I know what that is. That's a test in faith, and we can
Hmm.
pass. We can pass that. We'll be all right.
Right.
And
Right.
right behind it, I heard, what if it's not? And the
Yeah.
interpretation that came with that is maybe I'm not going to get to keep her like Abraham
Hmm.
got to keep Isaac. And somehow I managed and committed to, if that was where this road was going, if that was going to be the outcome,
Right.
that I would do the same. I don't believe that we're tested in this way
Hmm.
now at the time. I was like, well, I'll pass that test too. And if
Hmm.
that comes, I won't be the first mom asked to let go of a child. So
Right.
I will look to the moms that have let go of children down the road ahead of me that are living their lives in the way that I, want to be led.
Right.
So I somehow made peace with worst case scenario
Hmm.
and then didn't stay attached to a future outcome. I was back in the present. And I also heard the voice say, when I'm thinking Janae of my 5 children is, cries every day because of bullies. If she can't stand up to bullies, how's she going to stand up to cancer? Like, how's she going to have the strength to do this? And the voice that I heard then, that has guided me through this entire thing, actually, said the only way she's going to get through it is to find one good thing, no matter how much it's surrounded by bad. Find one good thing and cling to it.
Okay.
And that is what set the course for me celebrating life as a surprise party and finding the one good thing. So initially it was like, if you're hosting a pity party, you can't be embracing life as a surprise party. And I also go back to that story often about the biggest surprise for me, the literal surprise party that was thrown for me.
Right.
There were people there that I wouldn't have invited, and I was given
Mm.
gifts that I wouldn't have asked for.
Mm. Okay.
That's like literally what happened, and metaphorically that's how we get to show up in life, is to
Sure.
know that
Mm.
people are going to show up we wouldn't have invited, and we're going to be given gifts that we didn't ask for.
Wow.
Leukemia, and Janae ended up passing what I call a party hop as a result of the leukemia. I would not have asked for either of those things, and I know that they were here to support me and give me things to use to better myself, to grow, and to lead others. And so I can say thank you for the gift, and my
Hmm.
gratitude be so much bigger than my grief. And there's a lot of things that are layered into how I've gotten to that
Yeah.
point. But
Right.
I have learned to figure out what the gift is and
Hmm.
to focus more on the gratitude for the gift than grief, sadness, anger on how it came wrapped.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a
it
lot.
is. It's
Uh,
right at it.
no, I appreciate that, and I knew that we would get deep quickly, so I appreciate your just sharing that with us. That means a lot. Tell me about the process. I'm honestly holding back emotions just because I've got two boys, and just the thought of that is I can't bear that. But again, we won't go there. During that whole process of finding out and then just going through the whole thing right there, did this was this the turning point of like, hey, I need to look at these situations, I'm not going to say good or bad, right? As how do we find the positive in that? I mean, did was there a surprise party for your daughter? Did this come after the fact? Like how did that look during that process?
So when I think of find the one good thing, no matter how much it's surrounded by bad,
Right.
I was raised by and had very, I wouldn't say been groomed, but I had embraced being a perfectionist. So that's the
Mm-hmm.
complete opposite. I
Sure.
found a
Yep.
flaw when it was surrounded by so much good.
Right.
So there's a quote, I don't know who to credit it to, that it may be Zig Ziglar actually,
Mm-hmm.
that they say you're motivated by desperation or inspiration.
Mm. Okay.
And I was desperate
Mm-hmm.
to to figure out how to rewire myself. I heard that's the only way she's going to make it. So
Mm.
as a mom that wants to make sure that she makes it, I was very focused on learning how to recondition my thoughts and recondition my wiring and leading her.
Mm-hmm.
And really what happened is, in this mother daughter duo that we became, and her, like my mini me, and then also like a wise teacher. Like we think that we are here to teach our children, and I think a lot of times the children have come into our life to teach us. And so we did a lot, we yin yanged a lot in finding the
Mm-hmm.
good, and we
Okay.
used gratitude journals, and we learned to turn our have tos into get tos. Those are the two biggest things that we both did to stay on a path that was helping us focus on good. Um, and staying in the present, like what do we, instead of worrying about tomorrow or next week or next year, like what can we do today?
Mm-hmm.
And we had a good 2.5 years of a lot of isolation where she couldn't be around other people, or we were in the hospital and it was just her and I. We might have the nurse or a doctor pop in to, you know, administer meds or go over reports or something like that. But she and I really were committed to, and actually had fun with it. It was the wildest thing for me to think of, Andy, when I think of my life and the whole big picture of it, and seasons that were like really, really good, or I don't know that you would say my best season, maybe the biggest surprise gift, since it was the first one, in me acknowledging and working on these practices. But when
Mm-hmm.
I look back at that, I love that season. I love that time that I had with her. I love the journey that we had. I mean, there was suffering. She had suffering to give me time to ready for her party hop for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 years to stay in that classroom where I couldn't opt out and like speed ahead, you know.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And so we both learned how imperative laughter is. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like focusing
Mm-hmm.
on what you can control and what you can't, and using music and happy books. We kept gratitude journals and we kept happy books. I
Okay.
still have hers. I don't really do anymore. I do morning pages now,
Mm-hmm.
which is still a practice of gratitude, even if I'm not listing them first thing in the morning. Back then, there's a practice of gratitude where you give thanks for 3 or 5 things a day. That became monotonous for us, and we were doing it in the evening and then looking back, trying to think of things that we were grateful for. And we switched it up, and I don't remember how that came, where in the morning we would give thanks for at least 3 things that we had never given thanks for
Mm-hmm.
before. And
Right.
even this morning, there is not a morning that I don't put my mascara on that I don't remember the first time that I gave thanks for my eyelashes. And it was a day that she was upset that hers had fallen out.
Mm-hmm.
And in a bittersweet way, it excited me of how many things in our life that we overlook and take for
Right.
granted,
Right.
and like the game of it, maybe, of
Mm-hmm.
how you can find something easily, 3 things
Right.
that you haven't given thanks for
Right.
before, to keep you focused on the good, when maybe it
Right.
feels like, even now on social media, when I see people posting about how horrible the world is out there, or people suck, or whatever they say, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, that's another time where I'm grateful for the season I went through, that I don't experience life from that way, and how our thoughts and actions either contribute to more of that or, create a balance or offset it with something that's not any of those things that the world uses to
Right.
describe. They're not wrong. It's you can choose other things. You can choose other
Sure.
words and another
Right.
way of seeing it.
Right. I love it. Wow. Brilliant. 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 So, if we can kind of fast forward to, I
Yep.
mean, obviously that was a very trying time, but I appreciate you sharing that. I mean, I can feel your journey, right? I can imagine that, all of the stages of grief, right, that you went through in probably backwards and forwards through that whole process, and then coming out the other side, obviously still missing her and wishing that it turned out another way. But it feels like you've kind of turned that into a mission to help others see things in a different place. Am I on?
You probably saw in my face that
Mhm.
I did not go through the stages of grief. I've actually
Okay.
read that the person that wrote the stages of grief wishes
Okay.
that she has it because of how they've kind of
Interesting.
been taken out of context or
Okay.
misconstrued or not act.
Yeah.
So, interestingly enough, I mean, I had sadness for her suffering.
Sure.
Actually ran into somebody recently that I've always wondered if she thought I was completely Fruit Loops the morning that my daughter had taken her last breath because
Hmm.
um I never experienced it as tragic like people associate with,
Hmm.
or even the loss when people even when they say I'm so sorry for your loss, and this has been from the beginning. I mean, from the time like new,
Hmm.
where I didn't have the grief that people would expect or
Right.
anticipate or think isn't real, that that
Sure.
I'm not allowing myself. But that is the power of the love and gratitude though, and the
Hmm.
faith and knowing. So one of the reasons why when it did come time for her to leave her body and exhale for the last time, she didn't want people to be sad or worried, and I got to experience things with her where I am no longer not I don't know that I've ever been afraid of dying, but I'm certainly
Right.
more intrigued than I am afraid of death.
Okay.
So I don't
Right.
see it as an end or a negative.
Okay.
I know that she's with me still, and I almost experienced it from the beginning. But I remember when I rolled over and saw her that morning, she had this sweet countenance about her face. And I remember because of things that we had said and the conversations that we had shared, that I felt this peace. I saw the sweet countenance of her face, and I said, "You're there." Like, "Oh, baby, you're there." I remember that's what I said. Now, my husband's at the time and her father, when I told him, he let out a wail that is the most horrific sound that I will probably ever hear in my life. We had
Yeah.
completely contrasting experiences.
Right.
Um, but knowing that she wasn't in pain and believing that there's something so much more after the last breath, the
Right.
coroner, they came, they took her body, and I went for a run because like I said, at the time I was fit and I was working out.
Hmm.
And it's been a while since I've done that. But
Hmm.
I went for this morning run, and I remembered passing people. The whole community, of course, was aware that she
Hmm.
was in hospice and that she was nearing,
Right.
the end of her life. And there was a woman that I had golfed with that lived in the community that was aware of everything that's going on. And I remember as I passed them, I turned around and I was running backwards, and I had the biggest smile on my face. I remember it, and I said, "It is finished."
Mm-hmm.
Meaning her life, if certainly
Hmm.
not my journey with her. And then I remember when I turned around, I thought they probably think that I'm on something, like to be
Hmm.
smiling and say it is finished and out for
Right.
my run as if it's
Right.
the same day as any other day. And
Hmm.
she said no. She said, when I asked her, because I mean, it's been years. I mean, this has been
Hmm.
17 years ago.
Right.
I asked her if she had thought, like that I lost my mind or I was on some kind of medication or something. And
Hmm.
she said, no, I actually felt like it, gave me peace. And it was like really a beautiful thing to witness. So,
Hmm.
um, when we were going to bury her ashes, and I mentioned turning your have tos into get tos, I was thinking I have to bury my baby today. So this is the natural grief that a mother or a parent would anticipate feeling when they're
Yeah.
going to the cemetery.
Hmm.
And again, I said a prayer and had this spiritual dialogue from a higher source. I was feeling I have to bury my baby, and I said a prayer. I know that there's a get to, but I can't find it. Please help me find it.
Hmm.
And what I heard was one woman, one, and the entire world got to be Janae's mother.
Hmm.
And she's the one that gets to release her into whatever comes next. And I'm not kidding, Andy. It was like the grief and the heaviness went. I would not have traded any of the pain that I experienced in that journey to have spared myself the pain and not been her mother. Like, I am
Right.
so grateful. And I just got, ooh, I love it when this happens. I just got covered up head to toe in goosebumps. I know that's when it's like Janae, God, love, the entity that's responsible for the surprise party is affirming
Right.
truth. Like,
Right.
speak it, live it. You're on
Right.
track. You know, when I get, and they're like, stand, I mean, you should, they're standing on all my hairs on my arm.
Mm.
Like, grateful and knowing that she's with me still. Like, we're conditioned to focus on the loss. I'm so sorry for your loss, or I
Yeah.
lost my daughter. And I've lost the opportunity to experience a conversation that where I hear her voice. I still talk
Mm.
to her. I still
Yeah.
feel her.
Yeah.
She lives in and through everything I do in a different
Mhm.
capacity. Now there is sadness, but it'll come and go. So
Mhm.
like the most recent one, and it's been years ago, really, after my divorce and living here, and the boys are with their in-laws, they're with the mom of their children and their
Mhm.
wife, their family, and I'm
Mhm.
here by myself. There was a time where it'd be like, if Janae were here, she'd be
Mm.
here with those babies. You know, I would be by
Right.
myself on this holiday and feel some, but it's like a rain shower that goes through. It's never
Right.
like a tsunami of grief, and it never has been. And I had somebody shortly after, like famous, I don't know if she was a life coach or what she was. She'd been on Oprah. She had books. And I was
Mm.
at an event that she was at, and she's like, she found me because I was giving out I Get Two bands, and I'm
Mhm.
chatty Kathy and
Mhm.
extroverted. And she came directly at me in the hallway, and she wanted to tell me until I got angry that I wasn't going to be able to move forward. Like, I needed to get angry with God. She lost her mother. She knew what I
Mm.
was experiencing, and that it just needed to get angry. I got so upset. I was activated. I got upset. I went in the elevator to go up to my room, and the lady that I was sharing the room with was in the room, and I was crying. Back then, I would cry every emotion, and I was
Mhm.
crying, and I was like, "She said I need to be angry," and
Mhm.
she said, "Well, you're angry. Like, is she right? You need to get angry at God." And I said, "I am angry at God, but it's not because that He took Janae. It's because He
Mhm.
keeps surrounding me with these morons that think that I'm not
Right.
authentic
Right.
in my
Yeah.
experience, like
Mhm.
question my feelings." And then I
Mm.
make me think, should I be angry at God, and then try to be angry, or try to be
Yeah.
sad and try to be
Right.
something else that I'm not,
Right.
because the world is expecting me to be some other way, like
Sure.
the way that they expect or the way that we're conditioned.
Mhm.
And that's really only fueled me to want to show people what's possible.
Right.
People that are
Wow.
with me know that this is authentic, and I don't need to
Yes.
make myself. So I'll say, life's a surprise party, not a pity party. And I won't masquerade either. I don't put on a
Mm.
mask. I don't put on a professional hat in the morning and a personal hat at night, or like, I am who I am, like, all the time. It requires too much energy for me to compartmentalize and show up as this person or that person because this is where it fits or doesn't. That's why I call myself a Tasmanian unicorn.
I love it.
I mean, I don't try to force myself into a crate or into a box.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I've gotten to this point, to navigate and be grateful and happy in so many
Mhm.
circumstances. Today was what I call my bachelor's in perseverance and
Mm.
perspective and faith. And so much has happened since then to take, to keep inviting me
Mm.
to practice the perspectives and the
Right.
words and everything, to see if I can say thank you for this surprise gift and that
Sure.
surprise gift also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So tell me about the how have you turned that into your mission, and what do you do? Obviously, we're gonna give you the links and all this kind of stuff. I can't imagine anybody that's listened this far is not going to be checking out the website and reaching out to you, because there's just, again, the energy that you give off, and it is authentic, just for what it's worth. There's anybody that does not think that you're authentic does not have a very good reasoning of how to read people.
Yeah.
So tell us about what you've done to help others along their journey in this way.
Okay. So I had a nonprofit, we get to.org, and I was, doing more events
Mm.
and sharing with all demographics, all ages, about the power of positive perspective and turning have tos into get tos. And then I wanted to get out of the nonprofit and move into for profit. There were some surprise things in life that were saying that that was something that was necessary. And in 2016, I felt like my body and spirit were done collaborating. Thought maybe I was getting ready to party hop, pass. And
Mhm.
since I'm not afraid of it, I wanted to get ready. Like, I didn't want my boys standing in line for hours hearing, "I'm sorry for your loss." I wasn't going to do the
Mhm.
traditional funeral. Janae
Hmm.
in 2008, didn't want people to be sad or worried. She dreamt she was a star in the hospital. And I sent out a memo that we weren't going to do the visitation or funeral. We're going to celebrate Heaven's newest star with a
Hmm.
red carpet premiere of her life tribute video at the Grand. And that's the theater in town. And
Hmm.
so 8 years later, when maybe I'm getting ready to party hop, I want the same thing, but who's going to create this
Hmm.
uplifting, fun,
Right.
music? I didn't want to tax my boys with that, or my
Sure.
husband. My husband, he wouldn't have done it anyway. He would have went to the funeral director and just done what he wanted to do. And I was very adamant that I wanted to surprise the kids. My parting gift be a
Hmm.
surprise party that I had planned for them, and they would show up, and some of the details would make them roll their eyes, and that makes me laugh
Hmm.
to think that I'm going to get an eye roll in my
Right.
final eye roll as
Yep.
the parting gift. But I found there wasn't a solution to it, so I went from inviting people into the surprise party of life to thinking about when they party hop, what is their parting gift going to be? And so I'm mostly now focusing on trying to help people see that they can be playful, and it's so important to have a conversation with family on what you want to happen, whether it's a funeral
Right.
or not. Saying that I don't want a funeral and have a party at so and so venue would help so many more people. I mean, the conversation, like my dad party hopped in 2023. He was 83, I think, and my mom in the hospital said they never talked about it. And then she went
Hmm.
through the funeral and feels guilty, like he deserved the best casket and this, that, or the other. And if he had simply said, Jan, when I go, you know, do not take your
Hmm.
savings and plop it
Yep.
into a headstone. If he had simply said those words and been
Right.
done. So
Yep.
anyway, I make it more playful with my services and
Hmm.
do
Hmm.
tribute videos where I interview friends and family to share about the loved one. Again, this goes back to I did mine first. I didn't party hop in 2016. Here I am,
Right, there you are.
9 years later. So I don't really. I understand that some people don't have a sense of urgency because I did in 2016.
Hmm.
I mean, it ended up being an illness that I didn't know about. And once I took care of that, I was fine and I'm here. And so I know it's part of my mission because I was right there. And I don't want people to wait when, you could have the conversation because I
Right.
meet so many people. I wish I'd known you when my mom passed. Or I wish I'd known you when so and so. And,
Yep.
I don't want people to keep wishing that they had known me. I want to get it out there. I want to know, I want people to know that I exist. I want to grow it into a business and a movement and a culture where I'm disrupting the funeral industry altogether so that it's not only where I'm at that people know about it, or only people
Right.
that I, pass or cross paths with. But
Hmm.
so it gets a little tricky. I mean, surprise invite is about how we live, and the parting gift and party hop is how we're going to go. And the
Right.
conversation, if we live differently, we'll die differently. And
Yeah.
so if you live an inspired life, you can actually party hop and people be inspired by it also.
Right. I love it. I love it. So one more question on this before we kind of do my three key questions at
Okay.
the end here. I told you before we started, this is going to go so fast and
I
we're going to
know.
leave so much meat on the bone. So maybe we'll have you back for another one here. But um, I thought this was a really interesting question. I tried to kind of come up with some specific, unique questions to you and kind of what our conversation was going to be like. So, Denise, if your life was a highlight reel of surprise moments, what is the last clip that you would like to roll before the credits?
Ooh. The last clip that rolls before the credits. Dang, Andy, look at you with this little surprise question.
Hey, it's all
I
about
mean,
surprises.
the last clip, I mean, it would be the surprise party that I've thrown for the kids. I
There you
mean,
go.
there's going to be stilt walkers in the parking lot and aerial ribbon dancers and a tribal drum ceremony, and none of it's going to make sense. And they're going to be
Yeah.
like, what the heck? And yeah, people will know that I had fun thinking
Yep.
about it, that I wasn't
Yep.
avoiding it, and they'll get to see that tribute video where I have
Right.
friends and family using words they use to describe me, and it'll be a gift for them
Hmm.
in that final clip. It'll be a
Right.
gift for them in the future, but it's been a massive gift to me in the present to hear how
Hmm.
the world reflects back to me.
Right.
My high school friends that I hadn't seen for 30 years,
Mm.
how they describe me and how I'm still that. Like,
Hmm.
that will roll before the final credits
I
do.
love it. I love it. Great, great answer. Great answer. I had no doubt that you would crush that
Yay!
question. All right. So to wrap up here, again, it feels like I feel almost awkward kind of segue because it feels like this is just a fun conversation that we could just continue on forever and ever. But people have busy lives here, so let's kind of wrap it up with who's a leader. I'm sure you've got a lot of people. You said you're well read. Who's a leader that you most admire and try to emulate?
Og Mandino,
Okay, tell me how to spell that.
OG.
Okay,
Isn't that cool? OG when it means something
right,
else. Now.
perfect.
I never even thought of it. How?
Right.
Oh, I see. I love that surprise. Og Mandino. Like before Zig Ziglar, there was Og Mandino, and I actually
Okay.
looked it up this morning because of the question. I was
Mhm.
introduced to a book, The Greatest Mystery in the World. No, The Greatest Miracle in the World,
Okay.
that he had written, and I read that in the hospital, and I could not consume his books and his writing enough as an author, as a speaker, as a faith-filled man.
Yeah.
So he really was the one that opened me up to a whole world of living a
Mhm.
life and leading with the way that you live it, to inspire others. So
I love it.
it's Og Mandino.
We'll love it. Very good. I've never heard of him. I'll have to check that out. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I
Yeah.
start with The Greatest Miracle in the World. That's a
Okay.
trilogy, but then well, actually, I tell people you'll be led to the book that you start with, but because he's written probably 12, 15 books or something.
Okay.
But yeah.
Gotcha. Awesome. So again, ongoing journey with starting the business and kind of like sharing this mission with other people. So what learning has most impacted you in the last year?
I would say, I always want to leave somebody's life, or even if it's one conversation, like their paths crossing mine, they're better for it. I've poured
Mm-hmm.
out love and inspiration and forgiveness and compassion and grace to so many people, like to honor the sovereignty. Like that is a practice that I have.
Mm,
I'm still working on this year. Like I have a Friday night humble fumble where maybe I learned that there's another place for me in my criticism or judgment when I
right.
think I'm not in I catch myself in the humble fumble. And to honor the sovereignty in others has been massive for me. Um, this year I've learned more about how to honor the sovereignty in myself
Mm,
and to give myself the same compassion and grace and support that I do everyone else that I meet, and how life changes when you are we're not here to be an island, but when you can give
hmm.
yourself so much love and so much compassion and so much grace and be your biggest cheerleader and the one that is really, you're the one that's there with you 24/7 all the time.
Right.
So when you love who that is,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I love it.
a whole new world opens up.
I bet. I bet. That's really good. Love that. All right. And last question here. How would you empower learning for future generations? You obviously have a mission as to helping people kind of see passing from one world to the next in a different way. Maybe it's that, maybe it's something different. What would you, if you could wave your magic wand and help people just learn something new for future generations, what would that be?
Death isn't sad. Death isn't bad.
Mm, mm,
It's a natural part of life, and not having the conversation doesn't keep it from happening. And it actually hurts. It hurts your family to avoid the conversation more than it
right.
would ever help or promote the healing. So, um, you know, to be positive about that and find a, if you're not playful, still something that's positive and open, instead of resistant, like surrendering to it.
Right. I love it. Yeah, and I can think of multiple instances of this idea of just well, if I again, I don't know if it's a purposeful decision as to whether they're avoiding the conversation, but whether it's purposeful or not, they are. The reality remains is that they choose to not have that conversation because it is awkward, because it is, whatever hangups you want to call
Yeah.
it.
Well, I would say, I've met so many people that not even knowing where they are on the spectrum of life or
Mhm.
death, Christian, not whatever, like
Right,
say, oh, party hop. Yeah, let's do that. Like, let's think of life as a surprise party that doesn't end with
right,
the last breath. It's party over for the body, but the spirit party hops onto the next venue. So
right.
the more of us that are referencing death as a party hop, and then people going, did you just
Mhm.
say party hop? And then, you
Mhm.
know what I mean?
Right.
Like collectively, not giving it so much power in a way that sucks the life out of us because
Yeah.
of the conversation around it or the experience of it. It
Hmm.
can be completely different, and
Right,
so yeah,
right.
thank you
I
for
love it.
allowing me to share.
You bet. You bet. Well, thank you so much. So we are going to put all of the notes and how to contact Denise and check out her website in the show notes. So definitely check that out. Reach out to her. She is lovely and super fun to talk to. So I'm sure she would love to have a conversation with you about your individual journey and your family's journey, and I'm sure you would benefit from it greatly. So, Denise, thank you so much for your time. You've been phenomenal. This will be one of my favorites for years and years to come. It's been great.
Well, yay. I love that. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
Awesome.
Yeah. What a refreshing and hope-filled conversation with Denise Metzger. I hope it encouraged you to lean into life with curiosity, joy, and just a little more faith that surprises do still happen. If this episode lit something up in you, take a minute to share it with a friend who needs a smile, or leave us a review to help spread the message of empowered learning. Until next time, keep showing up, keep choosing joy, and remember, every day is a gift worth unwrapping.